Hey YouTube, welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's get started. This is Jordan Hawthorne. Enjoy the video. Hey YouTubers out there, how we doing? Jordan Hawthorne here. And I'm going to be doing a video today on firearms and safety, along with some of the ammunition that you can choose to use for your firearms. Some of my favorite to use is MagTech here. I have and they make a variety of different calibers. They make 9mm calibers, 22s, 40 caliber. I actually have a 40 caliber for my M&P Smith & Wesson here, M2.0, which is a very awesome firearm for your general safety and just to go to the gun range and to shoot around. And the best way that you can use this firearm obviously is to make sure that in case somebody comes in your house, you got kids like this that you need to train. My daughter that's video recording this, train them how to safely use a firearm. But anyways, this M&P right here, I've probably put about 500 rounds through it. I was using some really cheap ammunition when I first started. I'm not going to say any names of the ammunition that I used, but going into the MagTech that I've been using, it goes through the bore clean as a whistle. Like, I've never had anything jam as far as this ammunition is concerned. And if you want to take a look, I got my Full Metal Jacket ammunition here lined up that goes into my magazine. It's a 15 round magazine, and it's a semi-automatic handgun. So meaning semi-automatic and fully automatic, just to kind of tell you the difference. Semi-automatic, you actually have to pull the trigger in order for it to be engaged. Fully automatic, you just press the trigger and it'll fire rapidly. And the Full Metal Jackets actually are good for gun range ammunition. And actually, since it is a 40 caliber bullet, it does generate quite a bit of distance. Usually it takes about a mile or so from point of contact. So if you're shooting it for it to hit the contact, it could travel up to a mile. So if you are going to use Full Metal Jackets, definitely make sure that there's not a whole lot of people in the back of whatever you're shooting at. That's why it's important for home defense to use your hollow points, because your hollow points will actually pretty much, it's like a buzz saw. If you shoot a human body or whatever target you're shooting at, usually it will go and penetrate into the flesh, and then it will splinter out like a saw and kind of just saw around. So this piece of ammunition is best for home defense. And I like to use the Federal Premium low recoil hollow points. Also, I haven't got any hollow points via MagTech yet, but I will be purchasing some in the near future. And here's a 50 round cartridge of the MagTech ammunition. As you can see, it's brass. And if you know an ammunition guy that can, because when you fire off your ammunition, obviously the bullet extracts from the shell itself. If you want to keep the shells and recycle them, you can. It actually, in the long run, is cheaper if you just collect them and then kind of recreate them into bullets. It's actually cheaper cost to you if you choose to do so. But I'm going to show you how to take this M&P apart. First things first is you have to take the bottom piece here, which is like a little key. You take it out, okay? And you use that. You have to slide your slide back and put it into the locking position here. This is not loaded. This is an empty firearm. The cartridge is not in it. Obviously it's right here with no ammo in it, and there's nothing in the bore. Always check that first thing, gun safety. Always make sure the first thing you do is you always take your magazine out. Which, how you release that is this button on the side of the firearm. You release like that, and then you pull back your slide. You check down into the chamber and make sure that there's no live ammunition in there. That is the first rule of gun safety. And the next step is that there's this little switch in here. I'm not sure if you can really see it that well, but if you take this little switch, you have to push it down, which I use this little lever here. You gotta push that down like that. And then, whoops. Make sure that it stays locked. And then you take this little mechanism right here and you slide it down like this, and this will allow for this to slide off. So what you have to do is you have to release your locking mechanism, and then it will slide off like this. Okay? And the reason why you want to do this is because when you shoot it, obviously the bullets going through the bore, which I'm going to break this down and show you how it is. This is your spring right here that allows the bullet to go through the bore, which, if you're wondering what the bore is, that's where the bullet goes through. This is the bore. So it goes apart just like this. This is your spring. Here's your bore. And I do have a cleaning kit for it, but I just want to give you the general breakdown of a handgun. And what happens is, obviously, it goes through like this. You see the bolt goes in like this. So when you go to shoot it, this coils back and pulls the actual bullet through, which the tip of this is the bullet, and then the casing gets extracted through right here, the top of the gun. The shell extracts just like so, and they are it creates a lot of friction, so it's really hot when the shell comes out. If you've ever shot a firearm, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I actually had, when I was shooting at a gun range, I stepped on a shell that just got released, extracted from my firearm, and stepped on it and it melted through my boot. That's how hot it was. So that's the basic breakdown of a firearm. And you always want to make sure that you use the proper grease and oil to clean out your bore, because there's a lot of gunpowder that gets caked up in there. And if you don't clean it regularly and keep it greased, you will have jams. But if your gun's well manufactured, which this is as I said, a Smith & Wesson, and it's made from Springfield, Massachusetts. This is a very popular firearm, and it shoots super clean. Like I said, it's perfect for home defense. And then I'm gonna show you how to put it back together. Okay. Another thing you need to make sure that you do is you make sure that you keep all this the way you had it when you released the slide off of your firearm, because if you allow this pin to come back up, the slide will get jammed and you'll have a hard time trying to slide it back. So the way that it's manufactured is you got to keep it how it is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna assemble this back together here. So you gotta make sure that you put your bore in just like that. You see how it slides in and out like that, and locks. And if you look, see that's the top, and that little hole right there shows you when your firearm is actually loaded. It will show the casing in there. That way you can always make sure to double check and see whether there is an actual bullet in the bore location or not. Obviously, if you're smart, you don't want to keep it chambered up unless you absolutely need to. And then we're gonna go ahead and put this back in the hole here. And if you take a look, this is the coil I was talking about that when you slide it back, will help eject the shell itself. So it gives it the force and the friction to extract and release the bullet from the firearm. And so now we'll put it back on the slide, put it back on the frame of the gun, and it's really simple. And what you need to do is you need to get it back lined up here so you can get it like this. Slide it back, lock it back into the mechanism here. You need to make sure that you pull it push that pin back up, slide that back up. So once you put your pin back into the locking mechanism, you need to release the locking mechanism right here, which releases the slide like I showed you earlier. And there's multiple lock positions. This locks the slide itself, and then this releases and engages the slide. So now that it's all back to normal, you go ahead and push the pin back in, and we'll put this little key back where it belongs at the butt of the gun here. Slide it back, just like that, and it's back to normal operating procedures here, and you're good to go. And there is a safety on this firearm, so we'll keep the safety on it. Okay. And then I'm going to reload my mag, which I always keep 9 full metal jacket bullets in it and 6 hollow points. That way, if I happen to use up all of my hollow points, to go right into the full metal jackets just for extra protection. Thanks for watching my video.